Hey, what's up? Hello, it's Katie here, and I read a lot of books this month. A lot. Do you remember when this was full of unread books? So do I! It feels like forever ago, but it wasn't. And when I said I wanted to read all of these before I moved, I was not kidding. I read 20 books this month, and the month isn't even over, but I was like, I need to stop and make this video, even though we still have 3 days left, because this video is going to be a million years long. Now, I read 20 books, some of which I have opinions about, others of which I don't. So if I'm a little flimsy with the summary, if I'm a little brash with the opinions, because I'm feeling brash about my opinions today, forgive me. Let's move right into the video because it's going to be a doozy. Also, sorry, there's like a tree right behind my window that keeps like swaying and the lighting is just all sorts of crazy on my face. I'm just going to have a leaf pattern on my face for the entirety of the video. Hope you're cool with it. The first book I read is Misery by Stephen King. Now, real quick. I can't with his silly, goofy ass. Like, what is he doing? This is about Annie Wilkes, who is freaking crazy. She's crazy. She's wackadoodle, cockamamie. She's crazy. So this is about her and then Paul Sheldon, who is a famous author, and she is his #1 fan. She's obsessed with him and this series that he writes about a character named Misery. Now, fortunately for her, his car goes off the road next to her house. She's driving by and she's like, you're coming home with me. Takes him, ties him to the bed at her house, and is like, I'm your nursemaid and I'm going to take care of you, but also I'm going to torture you into writing a book for me. So she does. Tortures him into writing another book because he killed off Misery and she's really upset. So she's torturing him. Okay, here's the thing. Stephen King has said, it's stated, that Annie Wilkes is a representation of his struggle with drug addiction. And that representation is so good. Like, the parallels is so freaking good. And like, Paul Sheldon is a self-insert for Stephen King. And it's so awesome to like delve into Stephen King's mind and his mind as a man, his mind as an author, like the fear in his brain. It's just so interesting. And then going from like him being like the author that he thinks people want to being Stephen King, this like horror author, was so intelligent and so good. And I honestly loved Paul Sheldon so much, like one of my favorite main characters I've ever read, which if you had told me going into this, I was gonna like Paul Sheldon more than Annie Wilkes, I would have laughed in your freaking face. I would have laughed in your face. But here we are. I think this is my favorite. Well, no, I can't tell this is my favorite Stephen King. Anyway, the reason I gave this 4.5 stars instead of 5 is because he uses the N-word, like in every goddamn book. And he does it like, if he uses the N-word, then we're gonna know that the character is a villain. And I'm like, you think I didn't already get that? Like, I think I understood Annie Wilkes was the villain when she tied him to the fucking bed. I think I got it during the hobbling scene. I think I got it when she was basically waterboarding him. Like, I got it. I didn't need that racism. I didn't need that. You could have just said she was a racist. You didn't have to say the N-word. You didn't have to do that, but you did it. And then also, there are chapters of the book he's writing in this book, and they're so boring and pointless and frustrating, and I don't understand why he put it in there. It's just so stupid. So just skip those parts. Everything else is great, but skip those chapters. Like, I'm serious. Like, I've read them, and I'm telling you, there is not a single thing that matters to the plot. Next, I read both Sheets and Delegates by Brenna Thumler. Now, I'll be quick about this. I did give both of these like 3.5 to 4 stars. I thought they were really good, really cute, really sweet, and I definitely recommend them. The art style is absolutely stunning, like breathtaking, stunning. You'll just stop and stare at the page for a second. So beautiful. So this is about, basically there's like a world right next to ours, or like a dimension kind of right next to ours, that's like a ghost town. And whenever you, as a spirit, become a ghost, you get fitted in a sheet because it's the only thing that can like hold your spirit in, but they're not allowed to go to the human world because the humans won't understand them and all this stuff. So one of them decides that he's bored and he is a young boy and he wants a friend. So he goes to the human world and he goes to this laundromat. And of course, laundromat has a lot of sheets in it. And he's like, oh my God, this is like the perfect place for me. And the girl who's running it, because her mother has died and her father is depressed, she's running the laundromat. She gets scared, obviously, that he's there, and the laundromat is becoming like desolate, and they are about to be like homeless and bankrupt. and this ghost wants to help her run her laundromat and like help her fix her life. And it's so sweet. Like, it's so sweet. It is like, it's a very, very kind of subtle look at depression and just that like soft blanket of depression that's just always there and is like silent, and there's just this staleness to their lives. And then this little boy ghost coming in is just so cute, and I really suggest it if you want something that is fun and fast and very autumnal. I would suggest these. Let's get this one out of the way because I have a lot to say. Bunny by Mona Awad. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is the third copy of this book I own. I have the paperback ARC, I have the paperback, and I have the hardcover. I just got the hardcover, which made me want to reread this book, which I had read this in 2020, in June of 2020, and gave it 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. Favorite of all time. Talk about it with everyone, forcing it down their throats. Just to find out, over a year later, that I've been completely wrong about what this book was about the entire time. I've been completely wrong. What do you mean I've been wrong? And shockingly enough, a lot of people I've been talking to online have also been wrong about what this book is about. Now, I don't want to like give away any spoilers or anything, but this is a book about, I'm going to be really quick because I talk about this book all the time. It's about this girl in this MFFA, something like that program, this writing program at this university that's very elite, and she is there with these 4 other girls who are a clique that call each other the Bunnies. Now, they're very ethereal, very weird, witchy, spooky, cult-y, very creepy. And they invite our main character, Samantha, to join them at their smut salon, which is what they call it. They meet every week, and they do some weird shit. Okay? And I don't want to spoil anything, so go into it, okay? But what I discovered was I had thought that this entire book was the main character's mental illness and that none of the stuff was real that was happening in the book, but I was completely wrong. I went on a Reddit, like, nosedive into this book, and there was a couple different people on Reddit that describe, like, that make all this make sense and describe every single thing that happens in the book, and it made complete sense when I read it. Like, complete sense. I was freaking blown away. Oh my god. Reread the book, and then I thought that it was going to kind of ruin it for me. No, not at all. Not at all. Look at these tabs. I think that this is something that not everyone is going to love. I'd say most people aren't going to love it because it is very weird. It's very weird. And I think you have to use a lot of your brain power reading this book. And I usually don't want to do that. But something about Mona Awad's writing, it does it for me. It does it. Like, I love this book. I'm going to stop talking about it, but please read it. Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares, both by Laini Taylor. This I have very confusing feelings about. Like, I really don't know. This is probably the biggest booktube darling. Like, I'm struggling to think of a bigger booktube darling than this. Everyone absolutely loves it. I have never heard anybody dislike this. And as far as I have seen on the internet, I feel like I have the lowest opinion of these that I've seen. And it's not low. Like, I didn't dislike these books. I just didn't care that much. And I definitely didn't care that much, like, compared to other people. Like, everybody gives these 5 stars, said it's like the most beautiful book they've ever read. And while I think it is very whimsical and cute, it didn't really have that much depth to me. Like, the depth in this book, like in this one, was Minya. Minya is my favorite character. She is so funny and fun and interesting and smart and sad. Her backstory made me freaking cry. It was so sad. But then Minya is a big character in Muse of Nightmares. And out of nowhere, she's like the most repugnant, just annoying, naively frustrating character ever. And I ended up DNFing this book because I felt like they did Minya so dirty. I was like, Minya is amazing this book. Love her. And then, what? Like, hello? I don't understand. This is about a guy named Laszlo Strange, and basically when he was younger, there's this town that was erased from everyone's memory, and you can only call it Weep. Now, everyone has forgotten about this town, is like, stop talking about it, that was forever ago, that's folklore. But Laszlo can't let it go because it's such a good story, and he becomes a librarian and basically like a historian for this town that nobody wants to talk about. Well, later in his life, a ship comes to his town and says, hey, we're gonna go to Weep. And he's like, what? Sign me up. And he sidles up on the ship, I don't remember why they're going to weep. They're there to do something. There's a mission. I don't remember what the mission is. They're there to do a mission. I don't know. But he goes, and then you're also following another group of like these god spawn, which are basically like nightmare children. They are the children of these gods who all have this like really freaky abilities. Like Sarai, who is the other main character of this book, has moths inside of her. Like she's just full of moths. And when she screams, moths come out. What? Like that is so metal. That's so metal. Like, I loved that. And I wanted to love these books so much. And it's like these god spawn trying to like reacclimate to society, trying to like fight a war to like have people not hate them because some like crazy shit happened with the gods and these humans. I ended up DNFing this. I gave this one 3 stars. I liked it, and I'm going to hold on to these books in hopes that I will reread. God, will I? I don't know. I love these covers. I love so many different kinds of things about the book, but didn't end up loving it. I don't know. I'm going to hold on to them for now and hope to reread them in the future. And then I have Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyan. So this is about this world where there's like 3 different caste systems. So there's Paper, who are basically like completely human, and then the caste above them is like half animal, half human, or like have some attributes of a beast or an animal, and then the caste above that are like almost completely an animal. Like they can fly, they can breathe underwater, something like that. And then the middle caste might have fur, they might have a tail, they might have scales, but they don't really have like a complete ability. It's like this weird like anamorphous kind of world going on. And our main character is a girl of paper who believes that she is like completely human and below everyone else. And the king or patriarch or whatever, this is set in Asia, he has paper girls, and there's 11 paper girls, and they are his sex slaves. And he chooses our main character to be the 12th girl because she has these beautiful, stunning eyes that humans don't normally have, and he's very entranced by that, so he takes her in. The talk of sex slavery in this book is very predominant. It's very predominant. Like, you spend most of the book just following the main character trying to get out of having sex with this guy, which is, you know, harrowing. I would say it's triggering. Don't read it if you don't want to hear about that, because they talk about it a lot, but I don't feel like they were talking about it a lot in like an explicit, oh my God, I'm being so graphic, read this book. No, it was like from a girl's point of view. Like, you never got from the guy's point of view. It was from the girl's point of view, and how all of these different 12 girls was in taking this and how they were dealing with it, and like emotionally and like logically, physically, all of these different things. But there is sapphic shenanigans in this. Oh my God, the sapphic shenanigans. I loved it. I loved it. There's a relationship between the main character and this other paper girl that is so good. Oh, it's fantastic. And that bumped this rating up for me so much. But this is a 3.5. I say that because the world building is just the bones. There's no detail. You have to make everything up yourself, basically. Like, you get the 3 caste systems and that's it. Like, that's it. Nothing else is explained. Apparently in the second book, it goes more into it. But again, this is 3.5 stars, so I don't plan on picking up the next book. I don't like have any inkling to. I'm literally like pretending like the last chapter didn't exist because I didn't like the ending. I did not like the ending. But the gay shit in this book is so good. Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. A girl goes to a farm and there are kids there. Are there ghosts? I don't know. This book was so freaking boring. I gave it 2 stars. Let's move on. The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. So we're following our main baddie, Emmanuelle. We love her. We love a little witchy bitch, you know what I'm saying? We're following her as she lives in this puritanical society that is run by this overlord, this cultish overlord called the Prophet. Now, years and years ago, the first prophet killed these very, 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 very powerful 4 witches in these woods. So the woods, you're not allowed to go there because the spirits of these witches still preside, and he tells everybody that they're horrible, they're evil, you can't go in there. So Emmanuelle, one day, her horse runs into the woods and she runs in to get it, and the spirits come to her and give her a journal. And the journal turns out to be the diary of her dead mother. And what that turns out to be is reading the diary, she finds out that her mother was a witch, and she finds out a lot of dirty secrets about the prophet and about things that have happened in this town, and that the puritanical society is not what everybody's making it out to be, and what the prophet is making it out to be, and basically how Emmanuel is a lot more immersed in the magic of this town and the magic of these woods and these witches than she had previously believed, and that maybe the key to breaking out of this cultish puritanical like society is her, and that maybe she can pair up with the prophet's son to change things. Let me tell you, this gave what it was supposed to give. It gave what it was supposed to give. If you want a witchy book, hello, like it's so atmospheric. This is like if you want to feel like you're in the woods putting a hex on somebody with like some bone shards. That's what it feels like. But then you're also a pilgrim. Like, that's what it feels like. I will say I'm going to give it 4 stars because it doesn't stand out in my memory as much as a 5-star book should. I don't remember things about it as much as I wish I did. But it's very beautiful. The writing is stunning. It's like literally the heavy atmosphere of this book, absolutely amazing. The witchiness, absolutely amazing. Loved that. I don't understand why this is going to be a series though. I'm not going to pick up the second book, like unless y'all say it's absolutely stunning, but I don't understand why this needed a second book. Like in the end, I was like, couldn't we have just made, like this is small. Couldn't we have just made this book longer and it'd been one book? I don't know. I just don't feel like this setting needs to be a series. That's me, but I'm going to give it 4 stars. If you want a witchy book, highly recommend. And then I have a recent book of the month book, which is The X Hex by Erin Sterling. And this is actually a pen name for Paula Hawkins, who's the author of like The Wife Upstairs and stuff like that. And this book, while the cover is stunning, and while the plot of this book is stunning, the romance is so lackluster. Where is the chemistry? Like that's the magic of this book, is the disappearing chemistry. It's the disappearing chemistry act. Like here's the, okay, let me just tell you the plot. This is about a witch, okay? Love it. This is about a witch and her witchy family. And when she's younger, she's always told, don't mix vodka with witchcraft. And she, for 3 months, for a little bit less than 3 months, for a summer, she had a fling with the guys who like created the town. It's set in Georgia, so it's on the ley lines. The guys who like created the town, they're like big bad witches. She had a fling with the son. Okay, cool, got it. But then at the end of the summer, he tells her he's actually betrothed to marry this other witch, and he's known the entire time they were together. And she's like, come again? Bye, get out, leaves him, and then she drunkenly puts a hex on him. But she doesn't think anything of it. She's like, I'm not a strong witch. I could never have done something like that. So years and years later, like 10 years later, this guy comes back to the town and he has horrible bad luck. And basically all these horrible things are happening to him and all these horrible things are happening in the town. And she's like, maybe I put a hex on him after all. What do I do? Oh my God. That's amazing. The plot, fantastic. The other characters in this book, Elaine and Gwen, fantastic. Obsessed with them. Reese and Vivian, there's no chemistry. They knew each other for less than 90 days. For less than 90 days, 10 years ago when they were in high school, or like just out of high school. 10 years ago, they knew each other for less than 90 days, and you're telling me that they've been thinking about each other every day for the past 10 years? You didn't even know them. Like, you didn't know her. You didn't know him. And you keep getting in, like, his point of view, looking at her, being like, was she always like that? Did she always talk like that? Did she always dress like that? I'm like, what do you mean, did she always dress like that? That was 10 fucking years ago. Of course she doesn't dress the same. And what do you mean, did she always act like that? You didn't even know her. Like, they didn't do anything together. They literally had sex a couple times, and then he said he was gonna get married, and then they broke it off and never talked again. There's no chemistry. This is not a second chance romance because they never even had a romance really in the first place. I'm giving this 2.5 stars. There's a lot of things I liked about the book, but it's supposed to be a romance, and it's not. So I'm giving it 2.5 stars. Malice by Heather Walter is a Maleficent retelling, but it is a sapphic retelling. And like, bitch, say less. literally say less. And it's where Maleficent and Aurora fall in love. I'm screaming. I'm screaming. Okay, so this is set in Briar, in this world where there are graces. So graces are people that royalty will hire because they can do magic, but their magic is like to make them prettier, to give them good luck, to make people fall in love with them, to make them good at like music, stuff like that. But there's one dark grace, and it's our main character, Alice. She doesn't understand why she is the way she is, where she came from, like why this is happening to her, anything. And her magic can only do bad things. Like it can curse someone, it can make someone ugly, it can make somebody like bad at something, it can, you know, give them bad luck, all this stuff. So there is this other storyline going on with Aurora where her family was cursed by a dark grace a long time ago, and that the daughters of this family, when they turn 18, will die unless they are kissed by their soulmate. So that's the only way that they will live past 18. So there are 3 daughters of this kingdom, and the 2 eldest daughters have already died. And Aurora is the youngest daughter, and she's 17 and a half at the beginning of this book, and very quickly coming up on her 18th birthday. So her parents every day have hundreds of men line up for her to kiss in front of everyone. Ew. I'm so sorry for her. That is disgusting. And Alice meets her and really likes her, and Aurora likes Alice, and Alice is starting to think, well, if she was cursed by a dark grace, maybe I can lift the curse because I'm a dark grace. And bitch, they fall in love, It's so cute. It's so cute. I will say, this is way too damn long. This is way too damn long. The fuck? Like, what are we doing? Also, why did it need to be a series? It's gonna be a duology. Why? Like, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not planning on picking up the next book, so it doesn't really matter to me. I'm fine with the way it ended. I really liked it. I'm giving this 3.5 stars. It was a very, very fun time, and I definitely suggest it if you want something that is like Disney, like you want that Disney feeling of when you were a kid, but you want it to be like more new age and a little darker, pick this book up. And another new release, For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. Now, I don't know what I should say because there's so many plot twists in this book that I don't want to give away anything, but I want to give you enough that you're going to want to read it, because this is like the fun, thrilling plot twists of Finley Donovan is Killing It, but have it be from the perspective of Joe from You, from Caroline Kepnes. That's what this book is like. Like, oh my God, and it's dark academia. Oh, it's so good. Okay, so this is following 2 teachers and a student. So our main guy we're following is Theodore, or Teddy, and he is a psycho. He's a psycho. He thinks that it is his God-given right to teach people lessons because he thinks that the world is scum, and that if like he thinks that a student is like a little bit arrogant or a little bit cocky, that he needs to teach him a lesson. So what he'll do is like purposely give them grades that are lower than what they should be getting, and it will kind of cumulatively drop their GPA throughout their college experience. And if that doesn't work, then he will like call up the colleges they want to get admitted to and tell them not to admit the student. Like, he just does crazy shit. So you spiral into this tumbleweed of crazy shit happening with these plot twists and like more murder and the police and all these investigations into like shit Teddy's done in the past and like enemies of Teddy's from the past coming into the future. And you're also following his main target at the school, which is one of his students who is a good person, but Teddy's just freaking crazy, and how that kid is trying to like figure out what Teddy's doing and get people to recognize what he's doing. There's so many plot twists. I swear every single chapter you're like, what? It's so good. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I loved it. It's such a ride. It's so fantastic. Highly recommend. And I need to stop talking because I'm gonna start spoiling more shit. And then I did a video where Jordaline from Jordaline Reads picked the books that I was going to read for the video, and she picked a book she hadn't read but wanted to hear my opinion, and then a book that she liked. Unfortunately, if you haven't seen that video, it will be linked, But it didn't go well, okay? It went every which way but according to plan. The first book was the one that she had not read yet, and that is Hairpin Bridge by Taylor Adams. She told me to read it for the same reason I bought it, which is I love No Exit. Love No Exit, highly recommend. No Exit is like probably the best thriller I've ever read. So fantastic, amazing. This book, 1 star, truly terrible. Truly, definitively, I'm saying it with my full chest, this book is bad. I don't mean, oh, in my opinion, this book is bad. I mean, I'm struggling to think that there is someone out there with a different opinion. Like, this book is terrible. It's bad in every way. It's not just bad like, oh, it's not fun. It's not just bad like, oh, it's inconceivable, which it is. I mean, there's even like really problematic things that happen in this book that I do not understand. I don't understand why he did that, what he was doing. Let me give you an example. This is not problematic, it's just stupid, but there is a shootout that happens in this book for like over 100 pages. Do you know how many bullets land? 4. What? In 100 pages? How do you miss that many times? How do you miss that many times? Also, how much ammo did you fucking bring? How much ammo? I don't understand. What? No. It's trash. The other book that I picked up for that video, unfortunately, is Nunshell Sleep by Ellie Marney. I love this cover so much. Are you fucking kidding me? Look at this. Wait, look at this. So stunning. I love that. I did not end up liking this book that much, which is very unfortunate. I think this book could be for other people, but it wasn't for me in the same way that Scythe was not for me, but it is for a lot of other people. This is a Silence of the Lambs retelling, and it is a YA Silence of the Lambs retelling, which is where it veered off the rails for me. So you're following a girl who is the survivor of a serial killer, and then you're also following a boy whose dad was killed by a serial killer. So it's both of them, and the FBI comes to them and says, hey, we want to know if you would come work for us in this like new department we're starting where you will go and interview young serial killers because they don't want to talk to adults. Okay, sure, fine, whatever. But when I tell you that they do the most immature, like stupid, naive shit, like there's literally a part where she goes to talk to this basically Hannibal Lecter and she wears her college t-shirt into a maximum security prison? What? And he's like, oh, you're from Ohio State? And she gives him her full name. I'm like, Emma, what are you doing? Like, not are you famous, so yeah, he's absolutely gonna know who you are now since you gave the freaking full name, but now he knows where you live. He's like the most dangerous person in the world. What? And he's escaped before too, so I don't understand. Anyway, so they're going to talk to this guy because there's a serial killer on the loose. It's very Buffalo Bill. Serial killer on the loose, and this Hannibal Lecter is like, oh, I'm gonna help you find this guy. Okay, cool, whatever. But that's the thing, is that it is just completely inconceivable that these teenagers are being respected. They're being allowed into Quantico. They're being allowed into the FBI. They're being allowed into this maximum security. They're being allowed to talk one-on-one, face-to-face, with a young Hannibal Lecter. I just don't see that happening, okay? I don't see it happening. And I also could not stand how the guy, was it Travis? The guy, how he handled the girl, like he was, you know that like deep Southern kind of misogyny where they think it's sweet? Like he would look at her and she like say she would be going through something really difficult and he'd be like, you know, I know this is hard for me, but I just can't stand seeing women cry. It's just like, I can't handle it. Like I've got to do something about this. Or like they're doing something that's like really intense with this like serial killer and it's like, oh, we look down and we're holding hands. I'm like, what? I like the concept. I think the concept is great. I don't like the way that the YA-ness was handled at all. So I ended up giving this 2 stars. These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This is set in Shanghai in the 1920s, and it is a Romeo and Juliet retelling. And this is about Roma and Juliet, and they are both like heirs to rivaling gangs in Shanghai, the White Flowers and the Scarlet Gang. And they are enemies, but they used to be lovers. They were like secret lovers, just, you know, like in Romeo and Juliet. But there is this like virus, this like bug that's going around Shanghai that when it gets on you, it gets inside of you and it makes you claw your own throat out. Like it makes you go absolutely berserk, wackadoodle. And let me tell you, I was not expecting this to be as horrifying as it is. Like this kind of like, it was like even more so, but kind of had that feeling of The Diviners when you read it and you're like, oh my God, I thought this was YA fantasy. What? Like Like, the depiction of them clawing their throats out was way more descriptive than I thought a YA would be. But we're here. It is a kind of second chance romance, enemies to lovers, rivals to lovers kind of situation. I really liked it. I'm gonna give this 4 stars. I think it might have a similar feeling of Girls in Paper and Fire, where I'm like, yeah, I don't know if it'll really stick out in my memory, so maybe I should give it a 3.5, but I'm gonna give it a 4 because I am definitely considering picking up the second book, where in Girls in Paper and Fire, I'm not. So in this one, I think it's only a duology, so I'm definitely think I am gonna pick up the second book to see what it's about. And this is funny, the fact that both of the characters in these books are the same age, and this one read so naive and frustrating, and in this one, I was like, yeah, they're badasses. I love them. So yeah, I gave this one 4 stars. All the rest of these books should be coming out in a Halloween reading vlog that I'll be doing, but as it is not Halloween yet, and I want to include that day in the vlog, this will not have come out yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the books that I have read for it so far, the first of which being Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. The concept of this is really good. Okay, so let's talk about the concept real quick. This is about these 4 authors, and they're very, very famous horror authors, and famous for different reasons. Like, you have the older, like, gothic horror author, you have the young teeny bopper horror author, you have the, like, sexual, like, grotesque horror author, you know, you've got a lot of these things, and then you have, like, the Stephen King. Okay. So you have these people, and they are asked by this media company to go and be interviewed in a haunted house. And they say that they have to spend the night at the haunted house. Now, I will say that the story of Kill Creek, the house, I really liked. Like, I liked the twins that lived there and died there and this whole bit. The house is creepy, very atmospheric, very good. Love that. Okay, cool. And they go there, and then there's some creepy kind of shit going on. Anyway, the problem with this, I don't understand how nobody's talking about how problematic this book is. I don't get it. I have gone and, like, scoured the internet to try to find people talking about this book, and every single person is giving it 4 and 5 stars and saying it's amazing. What? No. The concept is good, but this book is so problematic, I don't understand. And then today, God bless, I saw that Jordaline posted that she had a problem with this book and the fat phobia of this book, and I was like, God bless that somebody said it. The fat phobia in this book is completely reprehensible. It's disgusting. It is grotesque. It is vile. I don't understand why nobody's talking about it. Like, I know that I am not just the most sensitive person on this planet that just happened to see it. I'm not. It's because it's just vividly descriptive, and nobody's saying anything about it. I don't understand. And then also something nobody's saying is the female author, the one who's like all like sexually grotesque in her horror, Tor is her name, is disgusting, vile. Like, she's such a mean girl. Like, she is such a bitch. And it's horrible the way that she treats these other characters. It's terrible. And the way that she's depicted is like, she's so hot and badass, and she wears leather, and she wears all black, and she has abs, and she works out, and she's so seductive, and she's so mean. She's mean. She's horrible. She's literally just openly, flagrantly rude to everyone in the most, like, hurtful way you can possibly be. It's not just her being like, I hate everyone. It's her being like, you're fat and ugly and you're gonna die alone, and your work is stupid and no one respects you and you're about to be insignificant anyway. I'm like, what the fuck is she doing? Like, that's horrible. And the way that she treats Daniel, the character in this that's like supposed to be the teeny bopper horror author who is a Christian, like, she makes fun of him so much for being Christian, and he's overweight, and she makes fun of him so much for being overweight, and that his work is pointless. And literally okay, when I say fat phobia, let me give you an example. They get on an elevator and it creaks, and this is an old ass house, and Daniel is like, did you get this elevator serviced? And she's like, I think it's because of you, because he's overweight. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And then there's a point where they're all eating, not just him, they're all eating. And he is like taking a bite. And before he takes the bite, he says like, oh, do you think we'll see so-and-so? And she's like, all I see is you shoveling food into your mouth. And I was like, why was that necessary? Were we supposed to think that she was cool? Because no, that is disgusting. Like, this is a 1 star because how dare Scott Thomas try to make me believe that Tor is an idol, like that I should think that she's cool or that she's interesting. No, that's horrifying, disgusting. Like, I don't, please, 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 if you have previously read this book and loved it, Just remember that if you're going to recommend it to somebody else, because I think that people, I don't know how they're glossing over it. I don't know, but just remember that, like, take note of that, reread the book. I don't know, but like, I want people to know this going in, because this book made me so angry. To flip the script entirely from a 1-star, oh my God, I thought I was going to be obsessed and I hated it, to a 5-star, did not think I was going to love it, and ended up being one of my favorites, is Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King. Now, this is why earlier when I said Misery was my favorite Stephen King and paused, it's because I actually think Dolores Claiborne might be my favorite Stephen King. It's so fucking stunning. It's so good. It's so good. And I was like, why am I obsessed with this when nobody talks about this book? But then I was chatting with Mayana about it, and Mayana was like, oh my God, I said that it was my favorite Stephen King, and I thought I was like stupid and like, there's no way, I was just in the height of my emotions. But she was like, then hearing you say it made me think, I'm right, this is the best. It's 5 stars. One second. There is somebody outside my window. Leave me alone. I think he's walking away. Anyway, Dolores Claiborne. It is 3 main characters that are all women, and all of the men in the book, every single man in the book is disgustingly misogynistic and horrible. And I was like, oh my God, like the misandry in this book, I cannot. Like, how did Stephen King write 3 bad bitches? Like, just defeating and demolishing the entirety of men. Like, I don't understand. It's so good. Okay, so this is about our girl, Dolores Claiborne, who is Kathy Bates. She's literally Kathy Bates. And it sounds like her, it reads like her. And Stephen King, after Misery, the movie, was made, he wrote Dolores Claiborne based on Kathy Bates so that she could play her in the movie. What? Like, amazing. Okay, so the entire thing is a statement to the police. So it's Dolores Claiborne going to the police department, sitting down and giving a statement about how the woman that she has been working for like 20 to 30 years has just died, and the whole town thinks that she did it because the woman is wealthy and gave Dolores her money. So they think she did it. And Dolores goes there and is like, let me tell you the story, okay? So literally the entire thing is Dolores's monologue to the police. The entire thing. Like, and you think that sounds horrible or stupid. It's not. It's so good. And the audiobook is the way to go. Do not physically read the book. The audio is so stunning. Like, I have never heard an audio that sounded like a play the way that this does. Because when Dolores sits down, you hear the chair scratch against the floor. Whenever she'll come too close to the mic, and the police officer will be like, oh, you can step back. You don't have to be that close to the mic. You hear her get farther away. It's what? And then there's a point where she's like asking the detective, she's like, I know you have a bottle of Jim Beam in your desk. Like, we all know. Give me some. You hear the drawer open, the glass at the table, you hear it being poured in, and you hear her drinking it. I was so immersed. Like, it really felt like I was hearing this woman tell me this story in real life. And then also you're following Dolores Claiborne's, we're not following them, you're only getting her point of view, but the storyline of her boss, who is a bad bitch, and like their relationship and how they became close. And Dolores goes into their whole backstory, which you'd think wouldn't be relevant and you'd think would be boring, and it isn't. It's so good. Oh my God, 5 out of 5 stars. I so highly recommend this book. If you are a woman and you were like, well, Stephen King is mainly a male author, read this book, because it will change your mind. And then I also listened to Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson on audio, which is the only way that I suggest listening to this series or reading this series, because it is in interview format. The first book of which is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which I believe I gave 4.5 stars when I originally read it and absolutely adored it. This one is the same characters in the same town. The first book is where Pip, our main character, starts up kind of like a Serial. If you've ever listened to Serial, the podcast, it's like that. So it's this crime podcast where she's trying to solve this crime that happened in the city. And it's a cold case. So she's trying to figure that out. And she does. And then in the second book, you're following 2 storylines. So you're following the leftover, like, criminal procedures that are happening because of things that happened in the first book. And then you're also trying to solve one of her friends in the book's brother has gone missing, and he really wants her to investigate. So she starts another season of the podcast to investigate this. Okay, I gave this 3 stars. I think it was fun. It was fine. I don't know. I just didn't think that it really made sense. Like, and Olivia just said this because she read the 3rd book and I was watching her video today and she was like, nothing that happens in the 2nd and 3rd book is like really conceivable. And she was like, this 3rd book is definitely not conceivable, but she enjoyed it. And I was like, yeah, I feel like it's not that it's completely inconceivable in the 2nd book, but it's just, I don't know. And then Pip was really annoying to me too because of the whole like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to investigate anymore. And I'm like, okay, but you're going to do it. Like, you do love doing it. Just get a grip. Let's go. So that was a little bit frustrating. And then I also felt like the whole missing boy thing just wasn't as like thrilling as I wanted it to be. And then the backstory of like where he was and why he was missing was freaking insane. Like, insane. I was like, what? No. It was fine. It's good. It's 3 stars. It just didn't do it for me the way I had thought that it would. And the last book that I read this month is Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina. Now, this is kind of like a Knives Out rich family drama where it's these mom and dad and then their 3 children, and it's a brother and 2 sisters, and they're very rich, very wealthy, but the dad is a complete asshole, like total asshole, and the mom is very submissive and doesn't do anything about it, and he's like a true psycho and just loves playing tricks on these kids and diminishing them and doing all this stuff. So one day, after a big blowout with the family, the parents end up dead, and the kids in the will receive millions and millions of dollars. So they're trying to figure out who killed them because it looks like it's a robbery, but bitch, we all know it ain't no robbery. Hello. Trying to figure out who killed them, why, and that it was like everybody in the town is like, well, yeah, clearly it was one of the family. Duh. But there's a lot of suspects. Like the brother's sister is a suspect. There is like the siblings' spouses are suspects. There's like a whole other secret suspect going on. Like there's a lot of secret things happening. And I'm giving this 3.5 stars. It was on its way to being 4 stars, but I did not like the ending. I did not like the ending. I didn't like who it ended up being. I didn't like how it ended up being. I did not. I thought there were so many different ways it could have gone that would have been way better, and I didn't like that one, so that's me. But her books are so thrilling, like every single chapter. All the chapters are 2 pages, and you're like, what the fuck? Like literally, like every chapter is a plot twist, a plot twist, a plot twist, a plot twist, and you're like, excuse me? And it's almost like too hard to keep up with. That's how fast it moves. It's amazing. Like I really had so much fun reading this. I know, I feel like people hearing 3.5 stars are gonna think like, that it wasn't great. It is great, but it's just a fast, fun, thrilling time. Like there's no like depth really to this story. It's just like fun and good. And I definitely recommend it. Like it's not a book I would read again, but I'm glad I read it the first time. Okay, that is going to wrap it up for all of the 20 books that I read in October. I am so surprised at how much of my physical TBR I ended up blowing through, like very impressed with myself. If you've got this far into the video, I want you to leave the ghost emoji because it's October and it's spooky and it's so cute. And I also want you to leave something down below in the comments, and that is what reading vlog for a series you want to see me do in November. Now I have a couple things to choose from, all right? So I just collected all of the books in the Red Rising trilogy, so I do have this as an option by Pierce Brown. I also have all of the books for City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. That is an option, as well as Jade City, because I believe Jade Legacy either just came out or is coming out very soon. So there's that. And then the last one is Furyborn by Claire Legrand. So if there are any of these that you really want to see me do a series reading vlog for in November, let me know. I will be picking whichever one gets the most comments down below. And I might do an Instagram poll if you want to check that out as well. I do have my Instagram link down below. You're going to find some things you're not going to find here, as well as a myriad of other links that are going to be down below. Let me know what you want to see. Thank you so much for joining me today. And all of that said, I hope you have an amazing day, evening, night, dusk, dawn, whatever it is you're having right now. And I will see you in a video coming very soon. Bye.